Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. My name is Ken, and today, guys, I wanted to do a little follow-up on the Taxi Driver 4K Steelbook video that I did a couple of weeks ago on the channel. I got some comments on that video, some negative, some echoing the same concerns that I did as well, but I wanted to address some of those comments that gave me a little bit of pushback and provide more examples here today and just kind of have a casual, free-flowing conversation with you guys about this ongoing problem that we have with physical media and our options. I feel like our options are shrinking. And again, I know that physical media is in some ways dwindling and shrinking down and getting smaller. So I get not having as many options as we did, say, 15, 20 years ago, but it is something that I do find concerning, and it's going in a direction that I don't love because it's pretty much making us have to pay more money for stuff that maybe we didn't want to get like special editions of. Maybe we just wanted a standard edition of. And some people, they don't care for steelbooks and they just want to get regular standard editions. They don't care for slipcovers. They don't care for certain packaging, premier, prestige packaging. So I wanted to address some of those comments. Not that anybody was like overly negative in that video, but there was just some pushback for some of the things that I said. And I feel like some people got the wrong idea. It's not that I hate steelbooks. I've joked, I feel like in the past couple of weeks about steelbooks. I've still got them piled on the floor over there that I just want to get rid of them all because they serve no purpose for me anymore. I still like my steelbooks. I was being a little over dramatic, a little extreme in my statements there. I don't really want to get rid of all of my steelbooks. There are some I could probably do without, but I just think that only releasing a 4K steelbook, and we're going to dive into Sony pretty deep today because I think that Sony does great work. I really do. When it comes to studio labels, I feel like they do the best 4K restorations, and I don't even think it's close, to be honest. Like, they're just top tier when it comes to their restorations, but there's definitely a problem with Sony and catering to the collector so much and making these editions and these box sets so limited that they go out of stock and nobody can get their hands on them. Like, there's stuff that I still want in my collection that I can't get because Sony put it out and it was so limited that it was sold out before the pre-orders were even over with. So I want to address that stuff because I think that in some respects, Sony is the best studio. As far as their restorations and some of their packaging, guys, their box sets are great. Like, they're great with this kind of stuff. They're great with catering to the collector, but they're not great at catering to the normal people that just want to buy the regular 4Ks, pick it up off the shelf, get a nice slipcover, or maybe they don't want a slipcover, whatever. And also their pricing is a little out of control. It's getting to be a little bit outrageous also. So I like Sony in a lot of ways, and then in a lot of other ways, I think that they're maybe one of the worst studios as far as providing us our options with physical media. So yeah, we're going to dive into all of that stuff, and then we're going to get into comparing just how many steelbooks, standalone steelbooks, have we gotten compared to that haven't gotten any kind of like standalone, like regular 4K standard edition release, compared to how many special edition box sets or special edition releases have we gotten, premium box sets have we gotten that haven't gotten 4K regular standard edition releases. Because one of the comments that I got, and this comment got like 100 likes, so obviously a lot of people agreed with this person, is I don't mind steelbooks so much as I mind when movies get these super elaborate premium editions that I don't have any interest in getting versus just a regular standalone 4K. So I thought that was worth exploring and I brought over so many examples, guys, so many examples of stuff. So we're going to dive into that. I'm going to show you guys just how many steelbooks have come out that I could think of off the top of my head that never got limited editions. We're going to hold certain studios accountable more than others. And then we're going to dive into some of the regular like premium editions that have come out. Have they gotten standard editions? Have they not? We'll get into all that. We'll get into all the box sets as well that Sony's done and some of the boutique labels have done as well. I've got a couple examples of that. So just a free-flowing conversation here today that I want to have with you guys. So hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button. Comments. Always comment your thoughts down below in the description, because I always, or in the comment section, sorry guys, not the description. I always want to hear your all's thoughts. I really do. Even when you push back on me, even when you're, some people are a little bit over negative sometimes, but I like all that stuff. It keeps me in check, and I enjoy reading the comment section when it doesn't get too nasty, obviously. But I like everybody's perspective on things. I think it's super cool that we all have our unique perspectives and stuff. And I'm just one guy talking on YouTube to you guys. I feel like sometimes people will take my videos a little bit too seriously and a little bit too to heart, because they think to themselves, oh, Ken just gets on here and because he's got a platform and a camera and a YouTube channel, and he thinks he can say whatever he wants, and that's what we all think. And that's not the case. Big YouTuber wants to put all this stuff out there in the world. I'm very humble. I come from small beginnings here on YouTube. Yes, the channel has grown, but I'm still pretty much the same person that I was 5 years ago when I started it. And I just get on here and I give you all my honest thoughts of how I'm feeling at that particular time. Yes, sometimes that can change and evolve over time. Some of the things that I valued before, I may not value now, or some of the things I had criticisms on before, maybe I don't have criticisms on there now, and vice versa. So things are constantly changing. You guys know, like as collectors, like we're constantly changing like our thought processes on how we collect, on the things that we value the most. I just feel like that's always shifting, because physical media, to be honest, is always shifting, and it feels like it's shifting more rapidly as the years go. But so yeah, guys, don't think that I think that my opinion is the only opinion, because I don't feel that way at all. But I do want to address one thing, because I feel like people, when I made that video, they were like, well, Ken, you got a Steelbook, a few months ago, that was a Steelbook only, and you didn't complain about that. I feel like every single time there's a Steelbook only announcement, if you guys actually pay attention to my content and watch the content, every single time on the Physical Media Report, I'm always like, oh, that sucks, it didn't get a standalone edition. Like, I always comment on that. So I feel like I've been pretty consistent with that, at least for the past few years that I've started to notice that. I feel like I've always, even going back to like The Last Action Hero, like when that just came out with the Steelbook, I was like, that's funny. Why are we only getting a Steelbook? Like, there should be a standard 4K edition as well. So I feel like I've been consistent with that pretty much across the board. And somebody did get a little nasty with me. Like I said, most people are pretty respectable. If somebody was like, oh, just a few weeks ago, you were on here peddling the freaking Columbia Classics Volume 4 set and saying how awesome it was. I said in that video, guys, like I do have issues with those box sets and the fact that they don't release those standalone later on down the line. But I don't have issues with the idea of the box set, making them exclusive for a year, a couple of years. Sometimes when you have these movies that you want to try to get out there to people, sometimes you have to bundle them together with movies that are going to sell. So I understand the idea of, bundling Taxi Driver with Sense and Sensibility or Stripes, because maybe those wouldn't sell as well alone as Taxi Driver. So you're trying to sell those box sets with these movies. So I get that, and making them exclusive to that box set. My issue comes from when they go 2, 3 years, 4 years without releasing. Like in the case of the first Columbia Classic set, it's almost 4 years since that's been released, and only 2 of those films have been released standalone. They should have all been released standalone by now, whether it was a Steelbook or a slipcover edition, at least some kind of standalone version of all of these movies in these Columbia Classic sets should have been released by now, because they're done. The 4Ks are done. And in the case of the Columbia Classics box set Volume 1, that thing's sold out. It's not back in stock. So you're either going to put that back in stock and reprint more, or you're going to do standalone editions. Like, let us have access to these movies. And that's the thing that I have an issue with Sony mostly, is it feels like with a lot of these box sets, they're in stock, and when they sell out, they're gone, and they don't give us the opportunity to buy those. Now, hopefully they put these back out there at some point, because Sony has shown that they are willing to reprint like their Steelbooks and stuff like that. I just don't know why we don't have standalone versions for at least the Columbia Classics Volume 1 and Volume 2. So I have voiced that opinion before, but when I'm doing a box set, unboxing of the Columbia Classics Volume 4, which I paid for myself, I did not get that from the studio. I paid way too much for it, $240, then it went down to $140 the next week. So I got burned on that deal. But when I'm doing an unboxing of it and it's brand new, like, I understand what it is and I know what Sony's going for. I'm not going to complain about it when it first comes out. But like, if we go 2-3 years and we don't get standalone versions of Starman on 4K, which is a great 4K, and everybody needs to be able to experience that on 4K, I'm going to have an issue. So there you go, guys. I feel like I'm all over the place already, but that's just kind of my thought process on things. I feel like I'm pretty fair and I'm pretty consistent across the board on some things. Now, some things, you know, I absolutely can be a hypocrite at sometimes with things. I can call certain studios out for something and then the other studio does it and I'm all for it. I know I've definitely done that in the past. I get that. But let me first start off with the Steelbooks that we've gotten, because I've got a whole stack right here. These are all the Steelbooks, and you're going to see a pattern. It's going to be Sony. It's going to be Lionsgate that's doing this mostly, of them just releasing the Steelbooks and then not doing standalone editions. And it's weird because it's so inconsistent. Like, some movies will get Steelbooks and slipcovers, and some movies will not. And it doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason. But we'll start with Lionsgate. They did the Limey, which was a great Steelbook. Like, I love this Steelbook. It's so freaking cool. And I'm trying not to make this like a Steelbook unboxing video, but I love that. I think that's so awesome how it switches the image when you flip it. So this is a great Steelbook, and to be honest, I probably would have bought this Steelbook, but they did no standalone slipcover version of this. So I just, I don't know. I don't like that, guys. That was a 4K as well. And that one came out, I think, in 2022. The Hurt Locker, like, this is an Oscar award-winning film. This won Best Picture, I think, in 2010. Catherine Bigelow directed film. And they just gave it a 4K Steelbook. They did not do a 4K slipcover standard edition. So I don't get it, because they do a movie like Young Guns, and then they do a standard 4K, and Reservoir Dogs gets a standard 4K. And then there's multiple examples of that kind of stuff. Sometimes they'll already have a 4K, then they'll do the Steelbook, so they don't release a 4K alongside of it. But Belly got a Steelbook and it got a slipcover, but the Hurt Locker didn't get a Steelbook and a slipcover. It just makes no sense. So that's another one. Then we got some Sony ones here, guys. Matilda, like, this should have got a slipcover. Why did Matilda not get a slipcover? Lawrence of Arabia, I brought this up in the last video, and I mean, at least they did it standalone. Like, at least they did it standalone, but they also did Doctor Strangelove as just a regular 4K edition with no slipcover. So I just, again, no rhyme or reason to that. And those are the only two that were released from that Columbia Classics Volume 1 set. And then we got Fright Night right here, guys. This is another one I don't get. Like, only a Steelbook? Like, collectors would want a slipcover. They probably would have bought them both, because there's such big Fright Night fans out there. People would have bought a box set of that. Like, Sony should have just went all out and did this big elaborate box set. Like, everybody will love that. Then we got Cutthroat Island, which recently released. I know there's an overseas. I feel like there's an overseas standard edition, but there's not one in the US. Just that Steelbook version. That's Lionsgate. Angel Heart they never did, and this one also has, I think, an overseas Studio Canal release, but they never did a standard 4K here in the States of Angel Heart. That was Lionsgate. Then we have The Raid Redemption, which was Sony. This one came out at the beginning of the year. 4K Steelbook, no 4K slipcover with that one. Rudy just got a 4K Steelbook, no slipcover edition with that one. This is Paramount. This is the only Paramount example I can think of. Somebody can help me out in the comment section if you can think of another one, but and it was kind of weird. I was like, why just do a Steelbook for Naked Gun? Like, Naked Gun's a popular spoof movie. Like, do a Steelbook and do a slipcover of this one. They did one for Major League. They did both for that movie, and multiple other movies like Flashdance and Footloose. And it's like, why Naked Gun just do a Steelbook? It's like, I don't know. I feel like there's another example, though. I'm just not thinking about off the top of my head. But that was the most recent example right there. And then The Last Dragon was also just a Steelbook edition, no slipcover. So you're seeing a common theme here. I didn't bring up a lot of Universal. Even when Universal does a box set of like the Alfred Hitchcock movies, they always do standalone 4K slipcover editions. You know, Jaws had the Steelbooks and the slipcovers. So I can't really think of an example from Universal. If you guys can, let me know in the comments section. And Warner Brothers, I feel like they're pretty good about doing a Steelbook and doing a standard edition. And usually if they just do one, they just do the slipcover version. So it's really just Lionsgate and Sony. Like, those are the primary ones that just do the Steelbooks and they don't do the standard editions. And then you have that one example from Paramount. So there's a lot of Steelbooks, guys, and there's more examples of that stuff that I didn't pull. But there's a lot of Steelbooks that just come out just Steelbooks and they don't do standard editions, which there's a lot of people, guys, that just don't like Steelbooks. They really don't. So there's people that will not buy those because they don't want to pay the extra cost of the Steelbook and because they just don't want Steelbooks in their collection. They're not Steelbook collectors. They just don't like them. And I get it because, you know, I like the Steelbooks that I got, but at this point, I like a slipcover a little bit more. But let's get into some of this other stuff, guys. I wanted to get in some of these because I feel like the comment that put out there that, the premium editions is also a problem too. I feel like they were thinking about the box sets as well with the multiple movies and Columbia Classics box set. So I wanted to pull out some of those examples. So this set right here was a Sony box set. This is 30 years Sony Pictures Classics. And I don't think that any of these except... Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which got a 4K a number of years ago. But none of these in this set right here have standalone 4Ks. And this is a beautiful set. And I don't think it's still in print. I think it went out of print. But this is a beautiful set. They all have their own slipcovers and stuff. I was happy to get this one when it went on sale for like, I think I grabbed this when it was like 140 or something, which was totally worth the value for 11 4Ks. But great box set right here. But there's a lot of people that want SLC Punk in 4K and they can't get it because Sony won't put it out standalone. There's probably people that want Volver in 4K. There's probably people that want Still Alice, Call Me By Your Name, Devil's Backbone. People probably want in 4K. That's a Guillermo del Toro film that they have locked in this box set. Run Lola Run. The City of the Lost Children. I think the City of the Lost Children has an overseas 4K release, and I actually feel like I have it in the collection. So yeah, this is, again, another, it's a beautiful box set, but it's another batch of Sony BS right there with that box set. And guys, I've got a lot of Sony examples. I really do. They're bad. They're really bad with this stuff. The Karate Kid set, like, this is ridiculous. This was such a beautiful box set. There should be hundreds of these things still in print, thousands of these things. This should have never run out. Everybody wants this set. And I'm so glad that I got it because I didn't get this on release date. I waited like a couple of months and I think I got it and then it sold out. But it's a beautiful set and it has all three, the first three Karate Kid films. Doesn't have Next Generation in it, but it has Karate Kid Part 3, it has Part 2, and it has Part 1, all with gorgeous slipcovers. And I know that Part 1 is getting a 4K Steelbook, and Part 1 also has a regular 4K edition, but that regular 4K edition that's available doesn't have the Dolby Vision. So if you want Karate Kid with Dolby Vision, the original, you have to get that upcoming Steelbook that's coming out because they're not doing a slipcover version of that alongside with it. I think it's a Steelbook. I'm pretty sure it's a Steelbook. It might be a... Now that I think of it, I feel like it might be a standard edition, which would be weird for Sony because they don't ever do that. I feel like it's a Steelbook, though. I could be wrong. But, we don't have two. We don't have three on 4K standalone. Like, some people like those sequels, and they would want to get those on 4K, and they can't get them now because it's a part of this damn set, and they haven't re-released them since. So, again, another batch of Sony BS. I brought this Ghostbusters 1 and 2 Steelbook out just to remind me to talk about Ghostbusters because they released this awesome Ghostbusters box set. It was a trap box set, came out at the beginning of 2022, and that thing was out of stock before the pre-orders were even over. And it was my fault because I waited on it. I stalled on it. I didn't know if I wanted to get it. I think it was like $100 or something. It was on Walmart. I almost pulled the trigger on it, but I held back. I thought it would be in stock for a little bit. I mean, it's Ghostbusters, like such a popular franchise. That thing should have been in stock forever. Maybe not the Ghost Trap set, but they didn't even release any kind of like regular box set edition of it. Again, Sony with the options, and the thing about that set is it had Ghostbusters 1 and 2 with Dolby Vision. I don't think this Steelbook has them with Dolby Vision. I'm pretty positive it does not. But again, they released this last year, but this was a re-release. So I think that this has HDR, but it doesn't have Dolby Vision. But they, released that set. They both had Dolby Vision, and there were tons of special features with Ghostbusters 2. Never before seen deleted scenes of Ghostbusters 2 locked in that box set. You could not see those other than that box set. And I just think that is so ridiculous. Like, they should have by now released at least the first one and the second one, standalone 4K editions, re-released them. Like, they could have put them out with Frozen Empire, which is getting ready to come out. Like, those should already be, coming out. Like, and maybe they're going to do some kind of like big elaborate box set with Frozen Empire in it at some point, and they'll put them back in stock then. But it's just the fact that I have to, I have Ghostbusters 1 and 2 on 4K with a Steelbook, so I'll have to rebuy 1 and 2 with Adobe Vision to get those special features, and then rebuy Afterlife because I already own Afterlife on 4K, and then get Frozen Kingdom, and maybe they won't put it out until months later, and I already have Frozen Kingdom in the collection. And it's just, I don't know, it's ridiculous to me, guys. All those new special features, they locked in that box set, it's sold out, and they haven't put it back in stock since. I just think it's a bunch of crap. I just really do. So we'll finish up with Sony so I can stop bashing on Sony for now, because there's a lot to bash on with Sony with this particular topic. But the Columbia Classics Volume 1 set, I've talked about this numerous times, but we did get Dr. Strangelove, Lawrence of Arabia, 4K standalone. We didn't get Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. We didn't get Gandhi. We didn't get A League of Their Own. And we didn't get Jerry Maguire standalone on 4K. And I know for a fact that a lot of people want A League of Their Own on 4K. And that was a beautiful 4K. And to be honest, that's a movie from my childhood that I loved. And that's the reason I got this box set, because I love that movie so much. I got this entire box set just for A League of Their Own. I like Jerry Maguire, but it's not one that I would necessarily need to see in 4K, but I do have it now. But yeah, all these movies, this thing goes for big money. Check on eBay. This thing's going for like $1,200, $1,300. So it's completely ridiculous that Sony would, not force, but make people feel like they have to get that, spend that kind of money given to the scalpers, other than just re-release these movies in 4K and give the people the chance to get these damn movies. I don't get it. It's not in stock anymore. You're not missing out on sales because it's not in stock. So just freaking put out the standalone 4Ks. It just doesn't make any sense. It's so lazy. Sony is so freaking lazy when it comes to this kind of stuff. I got a couple examples from Screen Factory, Arrow Video. This Fly box set right here, this came out in 2019. So you can get the Fly standalone still, I think for like $13 or $14. It's a Fox Blu-ray. But the rest of the movies in this box set, The Fly 2, The Curse of the Fly, Return of the Fly, and The Fly, you cannot get any of those movies standalone. Like maybe somebody wants the original Vincent Price Fly on Blu-ray. You can't get it. You can't get the Fly 2 with Eric Roberts in it. So, and I don't even know if this box set is still in print. I don't even know if you can still get this box set. I think I know it was in Walmart like maybe a year ago. So maybe it's still in print, but also it was a Fox license, and Screen Factory doesn't have the license to the Fox movies anymore, the Fox catalog like they used to before Disney bought them. So I feel like if it's not sold out, it will be pretty soon. But yeah, you don't have the options to buy those standalone. And also from Arrow Video, we got two examples. I didn't bring the other one down, but the Psycho box set, you can't get 2, 3, and 4 standalone on 4K. And this Hellraiser box set right here, you can get the first one standalone now because Arrow went ahead and released that one. But they didn't do 2 standalone. They didn't do 3 standalone. And they didn't do 4 standalone on 4K. And I don't feel like there's going to be as much of a problem with 3 and 4. A lot of people wanting those on 4K standalone. But people just love those first 2. A lot of people really just love Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2 and would just want those on 4K without having to purchase this big elaborate box set. So, another case, and they re-released it. They re-released another box set, but again, they didn't do it standalone except for the first one. And the Psycho movies as well. Like a lot of people had Psycho on 4K. Now with the Psycho collection, they re-released just 2, 3, and 4 in 4K in a box set. But again, what if you just want Psycho 2? That's what I'm saying, guys. We want our options. Maybe you don't want Psycho 4. You think it sucks. I don't. I love that movie. Maybe you don't want 3. You think it sucks. Maybe you just want the second one because it's a really great movie. So that's an example from Arrow Video. And then a few other examples. This is from Paramount. And this is pretty much, I would say, a boutique line at this point. But you got Double Jeopardy on 4K from Paramount Presents. So if you want this movie, I think you got to pay like $35 to get this. And we got Hustle and Flow as well. And we got Terms of Endearment on 4K. And there's a lot of people that would want these movies on 4K, but they don't want to pay boutique prices to get them. And if Paramount would have just released regular standard editions, they would have been like $20, $21. But because they decided to do them in Paramount Presents, they ended up being $35, $36, $37, $38 I think Once Upon a Time in the West. As great as that movie is, and it deserves a 4K, but the fact that it's a part of the Paramount Presents line boosts that price up, and for what really? Like they add in a couple special features, but they should be adding that stuff in anyway. And is it for just the flippable poster? You're going to add $18 for a flippable poster? And I like Paramount Presents. I really do it because it feels like a boutique line within a studio label. But it's just, it is an example. It is an example because these are only available in that line. And in some cases, like Liberty Valance got a standard 4K a year later. So maybe these will get standard 4Ks a year later, but, not all of them have. We got Blue Hawaii, the Elvis movie, that didn't get a standalone. And these examples that I'm going to show right here, well, we also got the House of a Thousand Corpses release, this box set release. Now, I brought this over here because this was a 20th anniversary edition. There was also a Steelbook, but they didn't do a standard, with a nice slipcover 20th anniversary edition, but there was already a Blu-ray available. So I don't even know if you would really want to count this one, but this was an example of them just releasing 2 premium editions without, a regular standard edition as well. Because a lot of times with Paramount, they'll put out some kind of special edition. They'll do a slipcover edition alongside of it. So I thought it was worth mentioning. Now, these releases right here is what I'll say. And I feel like people were talking about these a little bit when they were talking about the premium editions and how it's kind of the same with the Steelbooks. But the examples that I'm going to show right here have all gotten standard 4Ks just a few months later. Movies like Roadhouse from Vinegar Syndrome, this was a nice premium edition, but it was only exclusive to the Vinegar Syndrome site as a VSU for just like 3 months. And then it was available to get on Amazon standard edition, just the 4K case. So it wasn't exclusive in this box set for very long. Whereas the Steelbooks that I talked about, every single one of them, even the ones that are like 2 or 3 years old, still don't have standard edition. So I feel like it's more of an issue with the standalone Steelbooks than it is the standalone movies themselves, because everything that I've talked about before are all box sets and movies that are locked in those box sets. But if we're talking singular movie standalone releases from some of these boutique labels, most of the time they come out, they get the premium packaging, and then a couple of months later they'll get the standard editions. Same thing for the Warriors right here. On 4K, this has a standard edition, 4K edition. You don't have to get this box set. I mean, it's sold out. It's sold out at this point, but there is more in stock because these labels are good about putting this stuff back in stock. RoboCop is still available on 4K on Amazon. And the Drive. And this is what I'll say about Second Sight. This Drive set from Second Sight. When Second Sight announces their stuff and puts it out, and Vinegar Syndrome's the same for most of their items on their website. Now, not with the VSUs. They'll put the VSUs up on there, and that's the only option. But with their slipcover editions, they'll have a slipcover, and they'll have the option to get just a regular 4K case. So you can choose, if you don't care about that extra cardboard on there, to just get the regular 4K. Now with Second Sight, the good thing I can say about them is they announced these big elaborate premium box sets right alongside these regular standard editions with no fancy packaging, no slipcovers, none of that stuff. Just a bare bones release with none of that elaborate packaging. So I feel like Second Sight does a good job of giving you the options up front, so you don't have to get this big elaborate fancy packaging with all the booklets and all that kind of stuff. If you don't want it, you can just get the disc in a case with all the same special features and the same transfer, and it's all good. If you don't care about that packaging, you don't have to get it. And the same with Umbrella. Like, I haven't got a chance to show this off and talk about it on the channel yet, so this is kind of an exclusive, guys. But the Mario Brothers set right here that I got from Umbrella, and this is the Trust the Fungus edition, which has so many like booklets and all kinds of crap inside of it that, normal collectors may not care about. They just want the movie on 4K. But us, super fans of this stuff want to get these big elaborate editions right here. But what Umbrella does when they release stuff, they not only do these big elaborate box sets, they also do a regular slipcover edition, and they also do a regular just edition, just a case without any kind of slipcover or any fancy packaging whatsoever. And with their limited editions, they will do they'll do like 4. They'll do like a big box set, they'll do just a regular box set, they'll do a slipcover, and then they'll do like just a standard edition. Like in some cases they'll give you 4 options over at Umbrella. So I got to call them out for sure. So yeah, guys, I don't want to pile on Sony with this video, but Sony is kind of the major culprit with this kind of stuff right here. And there are loads of examples of them not giving us options and also putting movies out on 4K, and then they sell out and then they don't put them out again. Or they put them out in box sets that sell out and then they don't care to put them out again. So Sony, I'm calling you out. I think what you're doing is kind of crap. I think it's bullshit, if I'm being honest. And I like Sony. I really do. I'm usually pretty positive on Sony. But they got to stop this Steelbook only crap, these box sets that sell out We don't have access to the movies anymore. It's just a bunch of crap. So I'm sorry, guys, if you're a Sony fanboy and you love Sony and you don't like to hear this. But I got to be real with you guys, and I got to tell y'all what's on my mind. So I've talked for over 30 minutes now about this. Let me know. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comments down below, and I love to hear all of them. So let me know in the comment section below what you think about all of this. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all of my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.